Another month has come and gone, which means it's time once again to do another Box Office Monthly. Now, this is the show where I predict which movies of each month will be the biggest hits, surprises, and flops of each and every month. So let's get started. Last month, I predicted that the biggest hit for December would be Star Wars, the biggest surprise would be Spies in Disguise, and the biggest flop would be Cats. And unfortunately, I only got one out of my three predictions right. Oh well, better luck next time, so let's get started. What the biggest hit was Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, which obviously was the only one that I got right. Pretty much like every other Disney movie that came out this year, this movie's doing extremely well. It's at almost around $400 million, I believe, domestically, and almost at $1 billion worldwide, and this will no doubt be a billion-dollar hit, obviously. Even though interest is waning, you cannot deny that these movies make bank, no matter how good or bad these movies are. I personally can't say that because I have not seen it, and I'm not really a huge fan of Star Wars, so, oh well, let's move on. Now let's move on to the biggest surprise. I was pretty sure that Spies in Disguise was going to do exceedingly well, and while it's not bombing like other movies that came out this year, like Angry Birds or Wonder Park, it's not exceeding expectations. But what is exceeding expectations is Little Women. I wasn't really sure how well this drama starring four women back in the olden days was going to do compared to Star Wars and Jumanji, but I was wrong. It's doing exceptionally well. It's at like 60 million domestic and 80 million worldwide, which is insane to think Greta Gerwig went from Lady Bird, which barely made $50 million, to this, which is just downright exceeding expectations, is honestly outstanding, which, especially comparing it when it's released to Star Wars and Jumanji and all these big movies out there. So congratulations, Greta Gerwig, and all the lovely ladies in Little Women. You made a sleeper hit that audiences and critics are showing their love for. And now, of course, it's time for the biggest flop. Now, I was predicting that Cats was going to be the biggest hit, and I want to apologize for a mistake I made in the last box office talk, saying how it costed like $230 million, when in reality it costed $95 million, so I want to apologize, but still, that's way too much for this movie. And yes, it is flopping hard, but at least I can safely say that it didn't flop quite as hard as Playmobil the movie. Where Cats is bad enough that it's only making $25 million on a $95 million budget, this movie has only made around $1 million. Now there's a disaster, and then there's just a colossal apocalypse, an apocalyptic cesspool of catastrophic proportions. This was a huge flop. This thing costed like around $40 million, and it had like the third lowest opening of all time with like around $760,000 is insane to think. But I would be lying if I said I felt bad, because the movie was really, really bad. But in all honesty, I do kind of feel bad, since they really didn't market the movie, and I certainly don't want people to lose their jobs. But this was just a disaster. I honestly feel sorry for the folks. I also heard that one of the directors of Spider-Verse was originally going to make this movie, but Sony offered him the job on Spider-Verse, and that was obviously a much better career move for him. Because while that movie was critically acclaimed and made tons of money, this wasn't. It clearly shows which toy line of construction toys is much better. And that's going to do it for this month's Box Office Monthly, but we're not quite done yet, as we got another month ahead of us. So here are my predictions for January of 2020. Firstly, I'm predicting that the biggest hit of January will be Bad Boys for Life. Now, Sony's been doing a great job with the marketing. I've been constantly seeing advertisements for this all over the place. Commercials, trailers, posters, you name it. And the movie looks like a ton of fun. I think this will easily be the biggest hit of the month, especially since how it's Will Smith mania all over the place with his YouTube channel, Spies in Disguise, and Gemini Man, even though that didn't really do all that well. And I see no reason why this movie won't be the biggest hit of January. As for big surprise, I'm going with The Turning. Now, out of all of the horror movies coming out this month, like The Grudge, Underwater, and this, I think this one will do especially well. Universal is advertising this like crazy, and while I have been trying my best to ignore this movie due to how much of a coward that I am, I still see advertisements for this everywhere. Like I said before, posters, trailers, you name it. However, I do think tracking is low. It's like around 10 million. I think 15 million is a safe bet, and I do see this being a hit, seeing how this really doesn't look that expensive of a movie. It should at least open with a 15 million, $20 million opening is my safe bet. And I definitely see no reason why this will not be the biggest surprise of January. And lastly, there's the biggest flop, and I'm predicting that movie will be Doolittle. Now, judging from just the trailers alone, this looks like a really, really expensive movie. And guess what? You'd be right. This is an over $100 million movie, which already screams flop. Not to mention that this is also coming out the same weekend as Bad Boys, which will no doubt utterly destroy this movie at the box office. And also, this movie looks really bad, and not a single person I know has talked about it unless they're using it as a joke or something. Even the kids who are the target audience for this movie, who I've been talking to, like cousins and siblings, whenever a commercial for this movie come out and go, hey, you want to see that? They're not interested and say they would rather see Sonic, which is not good for a kids movie. So yeah, those are the reasons why I think that Doolittle will be the biggest flop of the month. Sorry, Iron Man, you are not going to have a hit with this one. And that's going to do it for this month's Box Office Monthly. What did you guys think of it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are your predictions for next month? And did you get your predictions right for this month? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all social media links right there. And until next time, guys, stay sharp.